Some weeks it'll be filled with walleye and other weeks it'll be filled with smallies. The brown persuasion.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're out here in upstate Washington, or New York. Same difference, right? Right now I am pulling on a nice smallie on a very cool little bait here. It earned my respect when my boy Adam Baker, member of the Big Bass Dream Team, stuck a couple of nice largemouth on my home lake at Pudding Stone on it. Oh, there we go. There's some head shakes. Oh, dude, that's a freaking solid little football. Awesome. And if Pudding Stone fish are gonna eat it, it tells me that a lot of these other fish throughout the country are gonna eat it. This is the 13 Fishing Flatty Daddy. Gosh, those guys have way too much fun naming their baits. Look at that. Nice smallmouth. Check it out. Shallow cranking smallies. Stay tuned here. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you check out Mr. Joe Barber over here on the gram. I'm show you guys a little tackle breakdown on how I'm fishing this thing today. Thanks, buddy. I got smoked. This is the tackle breakdown on the exact setup that we're using to throw this Flatty Daddy today. We'll start with that snap here. So I love fishing a snap on my hard baits because it allows me to swap colors, swap baits, try a bunch of different things and not have to worry about retying this fluorocarbon leader material. And today I'm fishing an 18.4 pound shock leader from Defiant Fishing. It's 100% fluorocarbon. I'm a big proponent on short leaders. I don't like winding these connection knots through my tip. And since I'm fishing a longer rod than I normally throw with a square bill, I've got a little bit longer leader here, but it still allows me to make a lot of efficient casts without the cumbersome knot going in and out of that tip. To that 18.4 pound Defiant shock leader, I'm fishing a 40 pound smooth casting braid mainline, also from Defiant. The lack of stretch from the braid makes it easy for me to rip the bait free of the weeds and allows me to be in tune with that bait. I could tell when it's foul hooked, I could tell when there's a piece of vegetation on it, and it really transmits these hard strikes incredibly well.
Oh gosh, nice, right on the edge.
You crushed it.
Nice, right on the edge.
Right now, long casting to be pretty key. I just started experimenting with the retrieve a little bit. This Omen black cranking rod is fantastic so far. Nice and soft. Helps keep those trebles buried in these feisty smallies. It's important to keep nice even pressure on these treble hooked fish. These smallies love to dig and then all of a sudden change your mind and skyrocket up into the air. Such a fun fish. This is a fun way to catch them. Spirited fighter. All right, take a look at that. That's a big clue as to how I'm catching them right now. That's 2 fish in 3 casts, and we're fishing this offshore shoal right now. It's got a nice strip of grass on it, and I'm winding this crankbait down into the grass and occasionally blowing it free, clearing that grass from the bait. And those reaction bites can be hard and vicious and always a lot of fun. I like it when things line up. Pretty fish. Thanks, fish.
Yeah, that was a pretty one. Let's head to the next one.
All right, rinse and repeat.
Yep.
Oh gosh, that would have been the one. Hey, dude, they are munching this Flat Daddy today. This is way too fun. Good times. If you guys are enjoying this video, do us a favor, hit the like button. And just subscribing, make sure you turn your notifications on. Make sure you turn your notifications on so you don't miss all of the tackle breakdown videos they're gonna be doing on this channel. All right, that was cool. So I'm fishing this Flatty Daddy on a much longer rod than I typically throw with a shallow square bill crankbait like this. And the reason for that is because we're making long casts on big open water flats, over grass, over rock shoals, and I want to get this bait as far away from the boat as possible, cover as much water as possible. And I feel like this is a presentation that these fish haven't really seen. Most guys are throwing a small swim bait or a jerk bait, and from the way that these fish are striking this hard bait, it seems like it's the first time they've seen a crankbait in a while.
Oh, jeez.
My hand got knocked off the handle, so I had to swing a little bit on that fish just to get some tension on it. But the beauty of this braid to fluorocarbon leader combo with the perfect action of this Omen black crankbait rod makes it really easy. They pretty much hook themselves. One of the favorite things I like about this bait is it comes with stock hooks that are good. They're good stock hooks. Now, if you do want to upgrade them, I would still upgrade them to those BKK Spear extra wide gap trebles. But for a lot of years, I fished this exact same treble hook on a lot of my hard baits. That thing just spit up a whole crawdad. It's about 300 pieces. Healthy little keeper. Hit it good. See, if I didn't swing on that fish, I probably would have got both trebles in its face. I'm just happy to get her. It's situations like this where your rod and reel setup, your mechanics are really important. When you barely get them on one treble hook or one point, that's when it's the easiest to lose them. So having this dialed in setup is the jam. So I'm trying to figure out the box application for this square bill. We're having a lot of fun with it. This is a Fishing 13 Omen Black crankbait rod, 7'11". It's rated for 1/2 ounce to 2 ounce baits, the line rating of 12 to 25. It's got a nice moderate action. As you guys have seen, with every one of these hard striking smallmouth, this moderate action is a little bit softer, acts like a beautiful shock absorber when they're shaking their heads, when they're jumping. It's keeping these stock hooks pinned really well to their face. I'm also fishing a C2 series reel from 13 Fishing. And with my square bill fishing, I tend to fish a faster gear ratio than I do with my deep cranks. My deep cranks, it's almost always a 5 or 6-to-1 gear ratio. A lot of big torque. You're trying to get that bait down deep and dig into bottom cover. But with this square bill, I'm making so many long casts. I want a faster gear ratio to make my life a little easier. I can wind that bait at a good clip. I'm usually winding it moderate fast to burning. So a 7 or 8-to-1 gear ratio with this C2 has been a lot of fun to use today. A very efficient way to cast and retrieve this bait. And all I'm doing is we're setting up here on these offshore shoals, and we're sitting in 7 to 8 feet of water, throwing it to 3 to 5. There's some grass starting to grow in here. It's topping out at about 3 feet under the surface. So the nice thing about where we're fishing is that this bait is in the strike zone for a majority of that long cast. Cover water really fast, really efficiently, especially since I'm looking for aggressive fish. I don't want to sit there and dangle a worm in front of a neutral bass. I want to cover a lot of water, fire this thing out there, find an aggressive one that's willing to track this thing down. And I'm gonna share with you guys a few of my favorite retrieves with this bait. When it's really good, you can catch them just straight winding it. Pick a speed, wind it steady all the way to the boat. Those fish are gonna tell you what they like. But a lot of times you gotta really trigger them to bite. What you saw me do there was clear a little bit of grass off of these hooks. And I'm actually targeting sparse patches of grass out here that is just starting to grow. And I'm actually trying to get my bait snagged in the grass on purpose. And the reason for that is every time I snag it and I clear the bait and I rip it hard, that grass is blowing off the bait and creating reaction strikes. That is a fantastic way to trigger fish, active or not, to just react to this crankbait. Another favorite retrieve of mine is a good old stop and go. I figured out earlier on one of my bites, I went to go look at the butt section of this rod and almost had it ripped out of my hand. So that told me I need to throw some pauses in to my presentation. And this Flatty Daddy almost suspends when I stop it. Finally, one of my favorite ways to fish a crankbait of all depths, whether it's shallow, medium, or deep diving, is the old pull and pause. Pull, pull, pause. Sweep, pause. And I'll mix up that cadence. I'll rip that bait around a little bit, trying to hang it into that grass, create a little bit of commotion down there, blow that grass off of those hooks, and hopefully a smallmouth will come along and just crush this thing. It's pretty simple. Biggest key when fishing a bait like this is to always experiment with your retrieve, your cadence, your speed, and you'll figure out a way to get them to trigger. Look at this guy. I love it when they do what they're supposed to. Growing up on the West Coast, shore-bound for most of my life, it was hard to throw a hard bait without fear of snagging it and losing an expensive $5 crankbait. Now that we're out here able to explore the country and all these new fisheries, setting that trolling motor on a pretty high speed, covering some water, and just fishing for aggressive eaters is so much fun. This Flatty Daddy is a amazing bait from 13 Fishing. I think they come in like at $6.99. And these fish flat out crack them, man. Look at this little football. Check that out. I just had both hooks in this smallmouth space, but during the course of the fight, that front hook worked its way out of the corner. That soft rod, that moderate action of this Black Omen series crankbait rod is really pivotal. And we've all had our hearts broken by hard fighting, jumping smallies, and you could see there that after that main hook came out of its mouth, I only had it by 1 point and was able to get her all the way to the boat. Thanks, buddy. Flatty Daddy, get you some.
You didn't get a going. Not a good many fish. Successful.
Oh, right there. How's that one?
Yeah. No going.
Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of Tackle Breakdown. We'll finish it off with this little itty bitty guy, quick release. Flatty Daddy. Get you some. Have some fun. Mr. La Barbara. I'm Oliver Nye. This is Big Bass Dreams. We'll catch you guys on the next one.